أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام ميم. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلى الله على محمد وآله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
I'd like to congratulate everyone for the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Today what I would like to do is touch a brief history, obviously the history of our beloved Prophet, the last Prophet, the beloved Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is a very long history when we're to read his history and study his history from the beginning of his life to the end of his life. But what I would like to highlight on a few key things, and inshallah maybe we can take some examples of this when it comes to raising our children, when it comes to living our lives, and when it comes to implementing some of the stuff that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was known for. First thing, when we look at a child or when we look to have children, right? We look at who's going to be the best spouse, right? Who's going to be the best father for our children, or who's going to be the best mother for our children, right? So here when we look at the parents of Rasulullah, we see that they resemble, their characteristics resemble Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
His father's name was Abdullah. Abdullah in Arabic, if we were to translate it in English, means the servant of Allah. Abdullah, right? And he was the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abdullah was known to be one of the most generous people among the Quraysh tribe. Also, he was noble and he was very well respected by his individuals, either within his tribe or people from outside of his tribe. They really respected the tribe of Banu Hashim, of Quraysh. Why? Not because they were big and strong, no. It's because they carried such a characteristics that anyone will respect this tribe. And this is the tribe that our Rasulullah was from. Sallallahu Muhammadin wa alihi. Now unfortunately, Rasulullah was not blessed to see his father. Why? Because his father passed away while his mother Amina was pregnant with him. So he did not have the opportunity to see his father or to live amongst his father. Now when we look at Amina, the mother of Rasulullah, this is very important. Very, very important. Why? Because when we choose a spouse, we're choosing the mother for our child. We're choosing the mother for our generation, right? for our future. So when we want someone for our future or a spouse, we have to look what type of characteristics do they have? What type of characteristics does the family have? Right? Because sometimes the family carries a big name. Sometimes the family plays a huge impact on your marriage. So when we looked at how Rasulullah was raised by his mother, he was raised by whom? Single mother, right? She was a widow. The mother was not by herself, but at the same time not by herself. Why? Because when a child is born, right, it's not only responsibility of the parents to upbring the child. It is the responsibility of the community together to upbring the child so that they may grow up in a good home, right? Nowadays, when you look at it, when you see single mothers, or when you see so-called independent mothers, right? They don't want to be with their fathers, or the fathers they neglect the family. Here you see a lot of mental illness, or you see a lot of problems happening within the child. Why? Because the father is absent. And also, if the father has passed away, there is no father figure in the household. Here when we see the life of Rasulullah, he had many father figures. Even though his father was not alive. Many father figures he had. So Amina bint Wahab was also from a well-respected family. She was also from the tribe of Quraysh, but she was from Bani Zuhra. And she was known to be the most pious and the most respected out of all the ladies of Quraysh during her time. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sadly, it's recorded in history, some historians have recorded that Amina bint Wahab only lived maybe 7 years. So she passed away when the Prophet was 7 years old. Some historians have recorded this. So here she did not have that much time, but look at that respect that she had for her husband. When Rasulullah was a little bit older, she took him to Medina to visit his father's graveyard. And then on the way back, this is when she fell ill and she passed away. Now, remember we said the community raises the child, right? Who took over the responsibility of Rasulullah after this? Because it is very important to the person who upbrings the child. Because they could be coming from a good home, right? But if a person takes them, if a guardian takes them and decides not to raise this child properly, then certain circumstances will happen. Right? So the upbringing of Rasulullah, we see from a young age that he was around great people. Now there are some people out there who have the audacity in calling, right, some family members who raised Rasulullah as a kafir. If that's the case, if he was really an idol worshipper, if this is really the case, then how come Rasulullah did not grow up as an idol worshipper? This is my question, right? If he was raised up by an idol worshipper, how come he did not grow up as an idol worshipper? Because it is common sense that we teach our children what we practice. And even though if we don't want to teach our kids prayers, even if we don't teach our kids prayers, right? I'm sure all the fathers can attest to this. You have a young child at home, you can attest to this. When you're praying and your child is 2 years old, what do? They see your back as a jungle gym. They climb up and down, up and down, up and down, right? You're in ruku, they're on your back. You're in sujood, they're on your back. You're standing up, they're on your back. Eventually what happens is that child comes beside you and starts doing sujood. Right? So here we see, if this is the case, if he was really raised by idol worshiper, why didn't he worship idols? Right? This is the question. So here we say that he was not an idol worshiper, right? So when we look at his grandfather, we look at the characteristics of his grandfather, Abu Muttalib alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. He took care. He was the caretaker of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And people saw this, and people even from outside Mecca, outside Medina, outside Saudi Arabia, they used to come and they used to see this. They'd be like, oh, this grandchild of yours is special. Make sure you protect him. Make sure you protect him. Now, Abu Talib passes away. What happens? Who takes care of him now? His uncle, Abu Talib, the father of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Now we see Abu Talib alayhi salam used to go in caravans. He used to travel a lot, right? Now he also has an uncle called Abu Lahab. May Allah curse him. Abu Lahab sometimes also used to take care of the Prophet. But Abu Lahab and his wife always mistreated the Prophet. Every time Abu Talib will go away sometimes, he will mistreat the Prophet. So the Prophet told Abu Talib, his uncle, take me with you. Take me with you in this caravan that you go. He took him. When they reached a spot, Abu Talib told Rasulullah, here, you stay here with these stuff. You guard these stuff, and we're gonna go. So the Christian monk invited them. He's like, okay. He saw this from afar. He saw that when the caravan was walking, something miraculous was happening, was taking place. Imagine you're walking and you see this young child walking by or walking with the caravan. And wherever he goes, the cloud shades him. Also, wherever he goes, when there's trees, the trees bow down in order to shade him and protect him from the sun from a young age. So this monk saw this. So he ordered someone to invite that caravan over. He invited the caravan over. So, because Abu Talib feared for Rasulullah's life, he told him, you stay here with the stuff. You guard the stuff. We're gonna go and we're gonna come back. Rasulullah didn't argue. Okay, he sat down with the stuff. When Abu Talib went with the caravan to the Christian monk is like, there's one person missing. Where is he? Where is this person? Where is this child that is missing? I know you have a child with you. Where is he? He's like, he's guarding our stuff. He's like, no, go bring him. I want him here. So he brings him. And then he offers him food. So he gives him a test. Obvious, the monk is a very well-read monk. He's read many literatures on Christianity, on the signs of Rasulullah. Why? Because Nabi Isa alayhi salam mentioned in his sermons the signs of Rasulullah and that there will be a prophet that will come after him. And what are the signs of the prophets? Right? So the Christian monk was aware of this. So he told them, All right. He gave him food. He's like, this is sadaqah. Did Rasulullah take it? He's like, no. We, the prophets, do not accept sadaqah. We don't accept sadaqah, right? So he says one of the names of the idols. He's like, no, this is not my God. So you see, from a young age, Rasulullah knew who his true God was. And he denied all the other false gods. And then he went on asking him questions after questions, and Rasulullah started answering them. And then that's when the seal of the prophets was seen. And this is where the Christian monk told Abu Talib, listen, this child of yours, protect him, because people will come and they will harm him. So return back from where you came from, so he does not get harmed. So here we see how from a young age Rasulullah was brought up. We see from a young age, and we see the characteristics and his nobleness, how he took those and how he inherited those from his parents. Sallallahu Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Now let's see if the children, if the kids, this question is for the kids, not for the adults. Let's see if the children know this. When was Rasulullah born? When was Rasulullah born?
Go ahead, answer it.
Yesterday.
Today?
Yesterday.
No, that's not the right answer. I asked this in the school also. They told me he was born yesterday because yesterday I had French school. So no. What is his actual birthday? What is his actual birthday? Islamic birthday.
The hint is Rabiul.
Yes. The hint is this month.
Date of Islamic.
Wait, is it 19th?
Islamic date.
No. The 17th of Rabiul Awwal. What day was he born on? This is very easy. No. Yesterday was his birthday. He was born on a Friday. And subhanAllah, his birthday fell on a Friday this year. On the 17th of Rabiul Awwal. Sallallahu Muhammadin wa ali
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Muhammad. What year was he born? There's an event that happened in this year, and there's a surah in the Quran named after this event. The year. What's the year called? The year of? The year of, for example, the Chinese have the year of the frog, the year of the dog, the year of blank. So what year of what was the Prophet born? The year of the elephants, right? Surah Al-Fil, the elephants, the year of the elephants, okay? Try to remember this. Parents, ask your children when you go home today the same questions. It is very important that from a young age we learn about our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Why should we learn from them? For example, right? When we have a certain person that we like or we idolize, right? We so-called idolize or we look up to as a mentor, right? Either we look at a basketball player, a soccer player, a football player, whatever you want to call it, right? Or gamers, right? From TikTok, right? Or Minecraft. We watch certain individuals playing games online and we look up to these people and we follow them. We know every single situation We know every single thing about them, right? We know their birthdays, we know their dislikes, we know their likes, we know how they look like, we know everything about them, even when it comes to sports, right? If I was to tell you, give me stats of LeBron James, right? You guys will give me from the time he was a rookie until now, correct? If I was to say, give me Steph Curry's 3-point average, you guys will give me from the time he was a rookie until now. But now when I say, when was Rasulullah born? Why do I see question marks, bubbles of question marks popping up? Right? Rasulullah should be our mentor. He should be the one that we want to copy, we want to mirror him. Right? With all due respect to our fathers, right? Yes, we want to mirror our fathers, but you know what? We want to mirror Rasulullah more than we want to mirror our fathers. Because it is because of him that Islam is here. For 40 years of his life, pay attention, because I'm going to ask you a question again. 40 years of his life, he was told not to preach. So at what age was he told to preach? 40. I said 40 years, not 41. 40 years of his life.
Good try.
They kept quiet. They kept Islam on the so-called DL, the down low, right? They kept it on the down low. Why? And then after 40 years, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Rasulullah, go now preach. Why 40 years? What was he known as? In Mecca, what was his nickname in Mecca? He had a nickname, he had a special nickname in Mecca. What was it? Who knows? It's a characteristic. This is a type of characteristic that the Prophet had. No? You want the adults to help you? Should we ask the adults? Yes, adults. Let's help. Huh? Yes, Sadiqul Alameen, the trustworthy. Right? To the point that when he was told to preach, he gathered his people and he said, if there was an enemy behind these mountains coming to attack you, would you believe me? What did they answer him? Like, of course, you're the truthful ones. Of course we'll believe you. To the point, think about it. Would you trust your enemy? If you don't like your enemy, would you trust him with your life possessions? Like, let's say, for example, you had gold, you had houses, you had expensive things, right? Would you trust your enemy with it? No. For the kids, let me try to relate to you. You're playing Fortnite, okay? And then you have an enemy, you don't like this person, but would you tell him, take care of my character for me, but don't take anything from me? Don't steal any of my upgrades. Don't steal any of my suits. Would you? No, right? Why? Because you know he might take it from himself. Right? Now imagine Rasulullah, his enemies trusted him with their gold, their possession, when they used to go for caravan. And then when they used to come back, Rasulullah used to give back exactly how they found it. Exactly how they left it, that's exactly how they got it back. So for 40 years of his life, he's been doing this. He's never told a lie in his life. Never. Not one lie. And people knew that. And even his enemies knew that. This is how well respected he was. His character resembled who he was. He was the walking, talking Quran of that time, right? So when we look at the life of Rasulullah, we should try to mirror it. Yes, sometimes we might tell a lie here and there, right? But what should we do? What should we do instead when we tell a lie? Right? We go back to our parents We apologize that we lied to them, right? And then we tell them, listen, Baba, Mama, you remember when you asked me to pray? And I told you, yes, I prayed. I lied, I'm sorry. I was actually playing Fortnite. Yes, your parents are going to get mad at you, right? But you know what? But because you told them the truth, that anger is not going to last long. But if they found out you're lying, then goodbye to Fortnite, right? For a week, 2 weeks, or maybe forever, right? So we shouldn't lie, first of all. And also, it's haram to lie. Always tell the truth, regardless, right? We should always practice in telling the truth, even if it speaks against us. Even if it's against us, speak the truth. Because the truth will always set us free at the end of the day, right? Because at the end of the day, I will know. I know myself, I was truthful with my parents. I was truthful with myself, and I'm truthful with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So this is what we should do. Take the characteristics of trustworthy from the prophets and try to implement it in our daily lives. For the adults at work, right? Sometimes we tell a little lie here and there on our resume, right? Worked here, I have this experience, right? Or, oh, you know what? Instead of saying I slept in or I woke up late, I'm going to be late because there's traffic. There's no traffic, but there's traffic. I'm going to be a little bit late, right? Let's try to tell the truth and see what happens. Even if we lose that great job, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has something else better planned for us, right? So put it like this. I tell you, right? I give you 2 silvers in your hand. I give you bricks of silver in your hand. And then I'm like, if you want 2 bricks of gold, you have to drop those silver in your hand. I can't give you gold and silver in the same hand. You have to either drop it and then take the gold, or keep the silver. What would you do? You'll drop the silver and take the gold, correct? This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us. And this is what Rasulullah is teaching us. We see that he went through so many calamities, but yet he never lost faith. His faith remained strong. Sallallahu Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali
Keep going?
Muhammad.
Okay. Till what time do you have?
It's 5-10 minutes.
5-10 minutes?
Finish your
Okay.
topic.
All right. So we see throughout the life of Rasulullah that he never lied. His character was amazing, right? His enemies trusted him. His characteristics was amazing to the point that that when he was born, his uncle and his grandfather sacrificed so many camels for him. So many camels for him. Lines and lines of camels were being sacrificed for the sake of Rasulullah's birth, in order to feed the needy. Rasulullah followed that same example. He fed the needy. He took care of the orphans, right? Not because he was an orphan himself, no, but he took care of the orphans. Why? Because right now we are orphans. Every single one of us are orphans. Yes, we have our fathers with us, but we're orphans. We don't have our imam with us, right? We're orphans of the imam. The imam is here, but he's not. He's present, but we do not see him. If we want to see him, we have to prepare ourselves. And if we want to prepare ourselves, we have to mirror our lives just like Rasulullah. So that when we look in the mirror, I see the characteristics and I see the moralities and I see the honor of Rasulullah. Why do I want to see this? Because this is when the Imam will come out, right? We are not waiting for him. Imagine, he comes out and he comes out for right now and he says, you know what? You know why I'm not coming out? Because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So until you do these 8 things, I'll come out and I'll be waiting for you. Will we not do them? Of course we'll do them, right? So what are the things that the Imam is waiting for us to do, right? Resemble the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So every day, especially the young ones, try this every day. Okay? Literally try this every day. You want barakah in your lives? Try this every day. Before you do anything, before you wake up, before you go to school, before you sleep, just say Sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Just say Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Before anything. Also, for the adults who don't have their parents with them or who have their parents with them, do this before anything that you do. Before you eat, even a small snack, read Fatiha for the parents. And then you will see how your life will change. Your life will change in a dramatic way, in an amazing way that you won't even notice that it's changing. And then eventually you'll be like, oh my God, where are these things coming from? Where is this barakah coming from? Right? Because when we give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is what Rasulullah did. He gave everything for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khadija, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she was known to be very wealthy. All of her money she gave to Islam. If you want to know how much money she had, here to Toronto, right? How far is here to Toronto? How many kilometers? Let's say probably 300 kilometers. All right. How many camels can you line up? If you park the cars here to Toronto, how many cars would it be? A normal sized car, right? Now imagine camels from here to Toronto. This is how much camels she owned. The money is known to even right now, Islam is on that money of Khadija alayhi salam. This is how rich she is. So you want to say billionaire, you want to say Bill Gates? Come on, these are rookies, according to her, compared to her, right? So when we see how she did it. Everything she gave every single penny to Islam for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam.
MashaAllah.